So let's go ahead and let's get into the Vince McMahon stuff, because we only have a little bit of time left, and I really want to devote some time to it. So this is from John Pollock, as you guys can read. It's a statement from Edward Brennan, legal representative for John Laurinaitis, in the suit filed by Janelle Grant. It says, to whom it may concern, John Laurinaitis has filed a motion today fully joining in and adopting Vince McMahon's motion to compel arbitration. Mr. Laurinaitis corroborates Mr. McMahon in publicly declaring that Ms. Grant's allegations of sexual abuse and coercion in her complaint are completely unfounded. My client will fight these false allegations together with Mr. McMahon in the proper forum, arbitration. Part of the title of this show is Johnny Ace Flips. It wasn't that long ago that we actually talked about it on here, that Johnny Ace was actually, looks like he was going to be against Vince McMahon, and said that he was also being coerced, and that Vince McMahon was using his coercive power over him to make him do certain deeds, dirty deeds in the bedroom. And it looks like he has completely flipped. JD, what say you?
What a fucking rat. Like, it's just like, what changed, man? What changed?
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, you talked about how you were being sexually coerced and doing these things you don't want to do. But now it's a lie. Now that's a crazy bitch. I did nothing of the sort. Like,
yeah,
Johnny Ace is a cockroach, right? He's just tried going to survive. You know, he did the same thing he was doing in All Japan, trying to get him Matako Bawa's good side. Like, he's a scumbag, but we know Johnny Ace is a scumbag. So, I mean, like, what does it mean? Like, I think he probably figured out that he might be liable for, some further problems down the road. So we'll flip the story. I think it's a bad look for him, but, scumbags going to be scumbags. What are you going to do? Hey, thanks, Alexander Storm, another super chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Alexander Storm. He works with the Shadow. So thank you, Alex. So we're gonna try to set you up over onto their network so you can plug the book coming up, and they're excited to have you on.
Oh, can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I really think that we'll get along with their website. Yeah, I think it could be a number of things. I think most importantly, he probably got paid off.
Oh yeah,
allegedly, maybe. I think it's highly probable that chances are, got paid off. I'm trying to speak in a way that I won't get held liable. Allegedly,
one could assume that a guy who just sold $1 billion worth of stock has some disposable funds.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those moments where I wish that BJ was here so he can explain to our two dumbasses, can they subpoena the bank records to see the time difference between when the money hits that account and when the backflip happened, whenever he did the complete 180. I get the feeling they were right at one right after the other.
Here, Johnny Ace is a fictional character. John Laurinaitis is a real person. So I'm going to talk about a fictional character right now, right?
Yeah.
Fictional character could, the Mr. McMahon, also a fictional character. Mr. McMahon could tell Johnny Ace, hey, I'll pay you later after the trial, so as not to cause problems. Could happen in a fictional world, not in reality.
So kind of like that guy in Popeye where he's like, I will pay you Tuesday.
Wimpy for the hamburger today. Mike, that is why you come to Mike JD show for 100-year-old jokes like Popeye.
Where else are you going to hear Popeye references than fucking Mike and JD show?
I don't know what's worse, the fact that you made a 100-year-old joke or the fact that I immediately got it as soon as you referenced it.
Yeah. Most people would look at me like I'm the biggest idiot in the world. You did both. You laughed and looked at me like that. So that was good.
That's why. That's our friendship right there. It's based on stupidity. So I appreciate that. He's a scumbag, man. I mean, there's nothing good from this. And it's like last week, like BJ talked about last week, in Vince's effort to try to, arbitrate and settle, he completely buries the plaintiff, He's just Vince got a Vince, and everybody, and this is the problem for wrestling. People still kowtow to Vince McMahon, right? These people still bow down before him. What are you gonna do, man? Rotten people are gonna be rotten people, and nor should they ever disappoint you when they reveal to you how rotten they are.
Yeah, well, and I think we talked about it. I have to go back and listen to our clip that we made for it when that news came out a couple months ago, where Johnny was basically had turned on Vince, and it was I think we discussed it. Is he just trying to get a payout? And just a couple months later, here we are. He is completely flipped, and now he is going to be joining in on the Vince McMahon side, and probably has $50 million or whatever.
It's like a bad Russo storyline, man. He's like flipping left and right and no character development. It's just happening for no reason. Like, yeah, it's fucking dumb, man. I don't know. It's so disappointing. I'll say this though. Her narrator, her lawyer is a pit bull. So I ain't gonna let this go.
Yeah. Janelle Grant is a very impressive person. The more I look into her and I see her on, she does the Ashley Banfield show on News Nation. Like it's like it's like cable
news. Talking about Ann Callis, the lawyer, right?
Ann Callis. Yeah. What did I say?
You said Janelle Grant.
Janelle Grant's lawyer. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Yes. Sorry. Ann Callis, the lawyer.
Yeah.
Very impressive, and BJ has done a ton of research on her, and he's come on the show several times, and it's like, no, like she is a monster, like she is not going to let this go. Now, look, at the end of the day, we all know that this is probably going to end up, being settled. That's how this stuff goes. I hope to God it does not. I want to be optimistic about it, but I wasn't even that optimistic last week, and I'm even less optimistic now that they got Johnny Ace to flip, and I get the feeling that this is going to somehow end up with just a massive payoff, get swept under the rug, and then Vince McMahon is going to end up trying to weasel his way back into the wrestling business some way, somehow. And who knows when that would happen, but I think it's inevitable.
I agree. It's not like Nick Khan wouldn't let it happen. Like, they're trying hard to distance themselves now. But Ronda Rousey said, as long as Bruce Pritchard's around, Vince is around, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, is he really out? I mean, Stephanie's there too. And like, well, I mean, like, and Legento doing to make sure everyone's, they aren't talking right now. Stephanie and Hunter, they don't talk to Vince. Oh, okay, sure. Okay. I believe that.
Yeah. Hold on, King of the North here. He had to leave when he heard. Are we done with Jinder Mahal fantasy booking? Hey, yes. King, I think that's a great idea because you've been harassing me for a week and a half now about how Jinder's coming to TNA, and finally we get somebody on this show who's been in the wrestling business, and he wants Jinder to go to AEW. And you know what? So eat that.
I never heard that before. That was wild to me that I'm like, he's serious about this. Yeah. Like, I never in a million years would have thought of that. It's great. I said, it's great to have someone who has a completely different view than what you would have, just to hear dissenting opinions. We don't talk. There aren't enough people willing to discuss dissenting opinions. Like, the echo chamber of social media is so dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because then you just think that, like, whatever preconceived notion you have, I don't know, let's say aliens, for example, are real,
Yeah.
So it's good to have people say, no, Mike, there are no such thing as aliens.
So I can tell this story just slightly, but I'm gonna go see somebody tomorrow. That's pretty important. And when my chief broke the news to me, he was like, "Hey, just don't talk about aliens." I was like, "Okay, yes, chief, I won't talk about aliens," because I'm like, wow, do I have a reputation? And John Muse sends me like 3 alien stories a day now.
I know. When you texted me that, I screenshot it and I sent it to my wife, and I said, "This is Mike." It's
like clearly, humble brag. Clearly a high performer, I would say. Someone that people like, that they think a lot of, and they also find is completely crazy. Yeah, and once you guys hear the actual story next week, so I'm gonna give a little cliffhanger about who I get to go meet tomorrow. But I'm super honored by this, by the way. But it's gonna be an awesome moment. But I'll tell everybody the story next week.
As you should. I was telling my brother, I think my favorite episode that we've ever done, by far, it was our JFK episode.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that could just be a whole new show that we do, where we just like go back and forth on. I got to be honest with you, man, listening to Shadow talk about his network, I thought it was inspiring about, I know you've been saying this for a long time, but Johnny 600 Hobbies, has a hard time focusing on what he's doing tomorrow. But I mean, it was really kind of cool listening to all the stuff they do and all the various things. I don't know, man. It was super interesting.
Well, that's kind of what we envisioned for our network. We just,
did.
I just think we have too many. I think we have too many jobs, but I'm still going to try to get JD to do like a more solo stuff, talking about all the fascinating things that you're into, with all the horror stuff and comic books and all that stuff that like that you're like kind of an expert in. And hopefully we'll get that coming out here pretty soon.
Oh, our buddy Daza wants my John Carpenter. I thought I gave it. I thought I kind of did the spiel at the beginning of the They Live episode, which, by the way, if you have not heard our They Live Patreon episode, it
Yeah.
rules. We did a live
Yes.
we have a lot of new people listening, so I'm gonna just based on the chat, I could tell. So like
Oh yeah.
Mike and I did a Patreon watch along with They Live, and I started it by just kind of talking about how John Carpenter kind of got into the headspace to make They Live. And Dazzle apparently wants more of my thoughts on
Yeah.
John Carpenter, so I have to crack the old
Think
knuckles, sit down, and just do it.
Well, I think we need like a countdown or something like that.
I know, you
Talking
just gotta
the great John Carpenter movies.
just gotta tell me, like, just say, "Hey, JD, get your fucking ass in gear." Like, finals, grad school finals end tomorrow, so I just gotta turn on my project, and then life gets a lot easier. So
Sweet. All right, we're already over the hour mark. There's one topic in the chat that I will get to before I leave, I promise, but I want to get to this topic first. Tony Khan was on the NFL Network. This came out after we recorded last week, so I think he was on like Friday, like day 2 of the draft, and he's wearing the neck brace, and I love that he's wearing the neck brace. He's doing the Andy Kaufman thing.
I love
it. And he's talking about his AEW, and then all of a sudden he drops the line, "We're like the Pepsi of pro wrestling, and WWE is like the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling." And Mike Garofolo, and I think it was it might have been Tom Pelissero, like the two hosts on NFL Network, their jaws just dropped. It was like, whoa, wait a minute, Tony. And boy, did he get some crap for that. I thought it was hilarious. I like chaos. Clearly it did not affect the ratings this week. I don't think it was ever going to do that anyway. But what did you think of him going on there and dropping that line?
Well, I mean, like, isn't that what they're being sued for?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah.
I'm sorry. Vince is WWE, whether we want to admit it or not. And people, I've said it for weeks on the show, the people there, he was showing text messages about that. Like, he was bragging about defecating on a woman. Like, find me. I mean, I know people get all butthurt and up in their feelings because they loved it as a company. Like, Devon's going to share another tweet, another meme with a child watching wrestling and be like, "Remember back before dirt sheets? Yeah, when you were 3." Like, I know that's what we do, but I mean, that's reality. That's what happened. It's not terribly different than what Harvey Weinstein talked about. So, if it bothers you that much, examine your love and, make peace with it. Man, I love From Dusk Till Dawn. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But Miramax was owned by Harvey Weinstein. So, live with it.
Dude. So you and I are pretty big Robert Rodriguez fans.
Oh yeah, right? Huge. Yeah.
And I was excited to show my kid Spy Kids.
I did that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Same. It was actually this past Saturday. And I was excited because it's Robert Rodriguez. I'm like, I can't show you Desperado, and I can't show you From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I can't show you all the other awesome movies. But you know what we can share a love in? Spy Kids.
Great
right?
movie.
Which came out after I was already an adult and before I had kids. It came out like almost 20 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So like me and her were watching it for the first time because I had never seen it, but it's Robert Rodriguez. So I'm like, yeah, I get to watch Robert Rodriguez. And then it comes up, executive producer Harvey Weinstein is like, damn it. It kind of like made my skin crawl a little bit. And then we proceeded to watch the movie because it's still Robert Rodriguez. It's still a good movie, right? And so that's why I'm like, look, it's a creepy thing. Like, I still love Jay and Silent Bob. Harvey Weinstein produced, Clerks and, Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You know what I mean? It's just it's something you just got to come to grips with, right? You can still love the movies, but you just hate the guy that produced it.
Here's the thing: is like, there's bad people in all facets, all walks of life, and it's on you to draw the line of what you're comfortable with and what you're not. And there's things that you can call me out as a hypocrite. I will watch a Miramax movie. I showed Andy Spy Kids too because he just loves spies. Like, his dream is to be in the CIA. My 8-year-old wants to be in the CIA. I don't know what to think about that, but I mean, so we watch Spy Kids, right? Harvey Weinstein. Like, there's things that I'm not comfortable with, and there's things that I am. Like, WWE for me is a tough one, and it isn't the company so much as it is the people that are willing to turn a blind eye to it. Nobody was willing to turn a blind eye to Harvey Weinstein. Like, he got excommunicated, in prison, and will die. And Hollywood, stabbed him and like treated him like Caesar on the steps of the Senate, right? They all stabbed him and let him die. It didn't happen in professional wrestling, right? Way too many people came to Vince McMahon's defense, right? And there's, Jimmy Van. I would say, I'll keep saying this every week. Jimmy Van, like, thank you, Vince. I will never let that go. I will never let that go because that guy knows the story, but he chooses to do that. He chooses to cheerlead them. And for me, that is why I have a hard time drawing the line. Hollywood ran to Ronan Farrow's article and was like, yep, bad person. We've all known it. We let it go. It was terrible. Would they have done it if he didn't let the cat out of the bag? Probably not, but they did. They turned when the news came out. When the news came out about Vince, not enough rats scurried off that boat for me. And it makes me uncomfortable. So for me, that's the line in the sand. For you, for anyone else, you have to figure out where you're uncomfortable with something.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, so it's not like this story is new. Like these stuff's been out there about Vince. Like it's been reported on forever. You had the stuff from the 80s, the Ring Boy scandal. You had oh gosh, I can't remember the referee. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
Rita Chatterton.
Rita Chatterton, the payoff of Jimmy Snuka killing his girlfriend. You had all those things. And then, the NDAs come out and we kind of like all know that it's bad, but here he comes out being hailed as a hero.
That's what,
on his own TV by his family and then by his fans, like literally the day the story comes out. And it wasn't until this latest story came out that he really was like excommunicated. So it's like we had to wait until why did we have to get this far? You know what I mean? Like we had to get this far into this graphic detail and like and basically ruin this woman's life. You know what I mean? It's disgusting.
And that's what bugs me is he's not excommunicated. We're pretending like he is, but I mean, like, he's not. Like I said, Brother Love is still there doing his bidding. It's just, and again, what bugs me the most it's the fan base, right? And that's, I can't understand how you just are cool with it. There's not a lot of sin. And okay, to be fair, there are people who defend Woody Allen, right? That's gross. Yes. That's disgusting. I have a hard time with that, right? There are people who defended Roman Polanski. Rosemary's Baby, one of the greatest horror movies ever made. Chinatown, brilliant movie. Dude, if you guys don't know, his wife, Sharon Tate, murdered by the Manson family. He is fucked up. That fucked him up for life. I get it. You still don't give a 13-year-old Quaaludes and sodomize her. You don't do that. And you don't skip town and go move to France and have Hollywood, forgive you. Because of that,
still making movies, right? He was still making movies up until recently, right?
Yes, yeah. He won an Oscar and he couldn't come accept, or he was up for. I couldn't remember if he won or if he was up for an Oscar before. And like people were like, "Oh, we should really move past that." It's like sodomized a freaking child.
Yeah,
he drugged and sodomized a child. Like, oh, but she looked old. I mean, do you hear the words that come out of your mouth? Like, again, your mileage may vary. I love Rosemary's Baby. I haven't watched it in decades because of that, because I learned what kind of a guy Roman Polanski was. Bothers me, right? Your mileage may vary. You got to figure that out for your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. We got a question from Techmaster.
Oh,
I said people think that Triple H should be gone a year from now because he's the son-in-law of Vince. What do you guys think? I think he's there for until he's gone.
As long as he wants to be.
Yeah. I think, and right now, look, we can say whatever we want about him.
Working.
The trio of him and Nick Khan and Lee Fitting, that trio right now is the most powerful trio in all of pro wrestling, and they're on a run of success. The only way he gets removed is if that success stops. And really, you have to be just a total, complete, and utter moron. And even if Triple H's booking goes south, which that can happen because bookers get burnt out. You know what I mean? The fact of the matter is that Nick Khan's not getting burnt out on making deals, right, and sponsorships and stuff like that. And Lee Fitting knows how to produce television, and he knows how to shoot it, and it looks much better than it has looked in 20 years. To be honest with you,
it does.
And so that trio right there, and I think I think they're taking a big part of the AEW audience because they're giving their audience more of what they've been wanting for a long time, what they feel like they've been missing. So a lot of those people that had abandoned ship have now started to come back. Right. And it's not just look, they started before Vince even left. So really it's the catalyst, the people going back. It's like, Vince is like plays a small part in it, like him leaving. But I think really it's just because they think that the TV is better. And that's all people ever really cared about. They don't really care about all the stuff going on. They don't really care about the evil stuff. Look, right now, there's not a single Browns fan that quit being a Browns fan when they signed Deshaun Watson. It just didn't happen. They could sign OJ Simpson if he were still alive and put him at running back, and they would still be a fan. Like the Buffalo Bills could just put him in the backfield after. Like that's just the way to like. We just have toxic fandom and stuff, and like what JD and I try to bring to the table. We love AEW, right? I happen to still have a soft spot in my heart for TNA, although they're booking Alley Catch this weekend, so I did quit the show. I'll be back by Saturday because you guys are paying for it, but I did quit today. I quit. I'll be back by Saturday though. So but like I also we're grown adults and we can call people out on their bullshit no matter what the company is, and so we just tell like it is, right?